Let's talk about the newest member of your HR team. It's not a person, it's generative AI, and it is a powerhouse. It can chew through thousands of employee surveys in minutes or screen resumes in the blink of an eye. But what happens when this incredibly powerful new teammate gets something wrong? Well, that's the big question, right? How do we use all this amazing AI power in HR without, losing the human touch?
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to see what AI actually looks like in action for HR teams. Then, we'll get real about the risks and talk about why you absolutely need a playbook. After that, I'll walk you through a 4-part framework to guide you. We'll see how the best companies are putting it to work, and then we'll wrap up with what might be the most important part: how to lead this whole change with both data and heart.
Okay, enough with the theory, let's get practical. I want you to picture the annual employee engagement survey. For years, this meant the HR team had to spend weeks, sometimes months, sifting through thousands of comments, trying to find the patterns. It was a huge undertaking. Now let's see how our new AI teammate completely flips that script.
So the process kicks off just like it always has. The company sends out the survey. But right here at step 2, everything changes. The AI takes over all the heavy lifting. We're talking about it analyzing thousands of open-ended comments in just minutes, spotting themes, understanding sentiment, then it creates a clean, comprehensive summary. And then, and this is the crucial part, we get to step 4, the human review. This isn't about replacing people, it's about giving them superpowers. Instead of spending all their time reading, the HR team can now focus on the high-value stuff, adding context, validating the insights, and actually building a strategy.
And what do you get from all that? Well, instead of a 100-page report nobody reads, leaders get a dashboard that's crystal clear. Boom! A 22% turnover rate jumps right off the screen. You can't miss it. This is exactly what it looks like to go from being buried in data to getting an immediate, actionable insight.
And the best part is, the dashboard doesn't just show you what's happening, it helps you understand why. So right here, we see a pretty solid 7.8 engagement score. And the AI has already figured out that the new training programs are a big hit. But it's also flagged a problem with retention over in the sales department. This is the whole point. It gives leaders the full picture so they can make smarter decisions way faster.
So yeah, the potential here is massive. But all of this incredible power, it's definitely a double-edged sword. If you don't have a clear playbook, you risk embedding bias into your systems. You risk violating privacy, and you could seriously damage employee trust. And that's why governance isn't just a nice-to-have, it's absolutely critical.
This quote just hits the nail on the head. The question we have to keep asking isn't just, what can this AI do? It's what should this AI do? Every single time we use it, that decision has to be weighed against our company values, against the law, and against the real-world impact it's going to have on our people.
And look, this isn't some far-off theoretical risk. This has actually happened. Some of the first AI hiring tools were trained on decades of a company's past hiring data. And that data, unfortunately, reflected old biases. So what happened? The AI learned to favor male candidates, literally building discrimination right into the code, even though nobody wanted it to. This is the perfect example of why having a governance framework is an absolute must. Okay, so how do we make sure we don't fall into those traps? We need a guide. We need a map for this new territory. That's where a strong governance framework comes in. We like to call it the AI Leadership Compass, and it's based on 4 clear guiding principles to help you navigate responsibly.
So first up, what do we even mean by AI governance? Let's be clear. This is not about creating a bunch of red tape that slows down innovation. Not at all. It's about having a clear rulebook for how you choose AI tools, how you use them, and how you review them over time. Think of it as the foundation you have to build to make sure you're using AI effectively and keeping your employees' trust.
This compass has 4 main points, 4 pillars that have to guide every single decision you make: purpose, data, fairness, and accountability. Let's dig into what each one of these actually means.
First up is purpose. Before you even think about rolling out a new tool, you have to ask one simple question. Why are we using this? Is it for a low-stakes task like helping draft a job description? Or is it for something really high-stakes like deciding who gets an interview? The answer to that question tells you everything about the level of risk and how much human oversight you're going to need. It's the first, most important step. Next, we have data. You know that old saying, garbage in, garbage out? Well, with AI, it's never been more true. If you train your AI on biased or incomplete data, guess what? You're going to get biased and incomplete results. It's that simple. You have to actively verify your data, make sure it's diverse and represents everyone, and do the hard work of rooting out those historical biases. Our third pillar is fairness. And this one is an ongoing job.
It's not a one-and-done kind of thing. You have to be constantly testing and auditing your AI systems to make sure they're not accidentally discriminating against anyone. You're looking for what the law calls disparate impact. That's when a process seems fair on the surface, but ends up hurting one group more than others. It's all about ensuring fair outcomes for everyone. And finally, our fourth pillar, accountability. And let me be clear, this one is non-negotiable. An AI can give you recommendation, it can give you data, but a human being must always be responsible for the final call. The AI is an assistant, a really powerful one, but it is not the decision maker. At the end of the day, a person has to be accountable.
Okay, so we've got our 4 principles: purpose, data, fairness, and accountability. Now let's take this out of the world of theory and see how it all actually works, day-to-day inside a real HR department.
This table just lays it all out so clearly. For every major risk that comes with AI, there's a practical, real-world solution that's grounded in our governance framework. So, if you're worried about bias in your algorithms, the solution is regular audits and better data. Worried that employees won't trust a black box system? The solution is transparency and clear communication. It's about being proactive and connecting every potential problem to a responsible solution. And remember, this isn't just about good internal policy. This is about the law. You've got major data privacy regulations all over the world, like GDPR in Europe or India's DPDP Act. These are not optional suggestions. They set strict legal rules for how you handle employee data. But if you look closely, the core principles are always the same. Be transparent, get consent, and protect your people's information.
So if you're looking for a practical checklist you can start using today, here it is. First, document every single AI system you're using. Make sure you're storing data securely with encryption. And this next one is so important. Never, ever, ever paste confidential employee data into a public AI tool like ChatGPT. And finally, just like we've been saying, run those regular audits and always keep a human in the loop.
That's the key question, isn't it? I mean, it's one thing to have principles and a checklist, but what does top-tier, gold standard governance actually look like inside a big, real-world company? Well, let's take a look at a company that's getting this right, IBM. They didn't just write up a policy document and stick it on a shelf. No, they created an actual AI ethics board. This is a dedicated team of people from across the company whose entire job is to vet every single HR AI tool before it ever touches an employee. And here's a peek inside how they operate. Before any tool gets the green light, the board runs it through fairness audits and data privacy checks to make sure it's solid. But their work doesn't stop once the tool is launched. They're responsible for constantly monitoring it, making adjustments, and communicating transparently with employees about how these tools are being used. It's not just a policy, it's a living, breathing system designed to build and maintain trust. And really, what the IBM example shows us is that real governance isn't just about rules and checklists. It's about leadership. And that brings us to our final, and honestly, our most important point. This whole transition is about leading with both data and heart. It's about combining the incredible power of technology with the empathy, the context, and the wisdom that only we humans can bring to the table.
So, we'll leave you with this one last question. Think of it as the ultimate gut check for any AI tool you're considering in HR. Before you roll out any system that's going to impact your colleagues' careers, just stop and ask yourself, if I were the employee on the other side of this, would I feel comfortable knowing an AI made this decision about me? If the answer is anything but a strong, confident yes, then you've probably got more work to do. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't just to be innovative, it's to be trustworthy. Thanks so much for joining us.